The wind howled across the Wyoming plains, kicking up dust that stung Cole Ramsey's weathered face. His ranch, a splintered cabin on the edge of Blackthorn Gulch, stood alone under a bruised sky. Cole, a man of 35 with eyes like flint, hadn't seen a soul in weeks. He liked it that way, kept the past buried. But as the sun bled red into the horizon that evening in 1876, a figure stumbled toward his gate. She was young, maybe 20, her dark hair tangled, dress torn at the hem. Blood crusted her wrists where rope had bitten deep. She collapsed against the fence, clutching a small leather satchel like it was her lifeline. "Please," she rasped, voice raw. "Let me go. Don't keep me here." Cole's hand rested on the revolver at his hip. "Who are you running from?" he asked, voice low, sharp. Her eyes darted past him, wild with fear. "No time. They're coming. Let me go, or we're both dead." He didn't move. 10 years of solitude had honed his instincts, and something about her, those eyes, that satchel, screamed trouble. "Name," he said. "Lila," she whispered. "Lila Kane." "Sit," he ordered, pointing to a stump. "You're bleedin'. Talk." She shook her head, trembling. "You don't get it. They'll kill you too." Cole's jaw tightened. He'd seen death before, too much of it in the war. But the panic in her voice stirred something he'd long buried. Against his better judgment, he hauled her inside, barring the door. She begged again, quieter now. "Just let me go." "Not till I know what's chasing you," he said, setting a tin cup of water before her. She drank, hands shaking, but said nothing more. Night fell, thick and heavy. Cole kept his rifle close, eyes on the horizon. At midnight, a faint glow flickered in the distance, torches, moving fast. His gut twisted. Whatever Lila was running from, it was here. Part 2. The Midnight Truth. The cabin was a cage of shadows, lit only by a flickering lantern. Lila sat hunched in the corner, clutching her satchel, her eyes darting to the door every time the wind rattled it. Cole stood by the window, rifle in hand, counting the torches. 6, maybe 7, weaving through the gulch. "Who are they?" he demanded, voice like gravel. Lila's lips quivered. "You wouldn't believe me. Try me." She hesitated, then spilled it fast, like poison she couldn't hold in. "They're the Order, cult. They think I stole something sacred, a relic. They'll burn this place to get it back." Cole's eyes narrowed. "What relic?" She clutched the satchel tighter. "It's a stone. Old. Carved with symbols no one can read. They say it's got power, curses, miracles. I don't know. They'll kill for it." He snorted. "Fairy tales." "It's real," she snapped, voice sharp. "I saw what they did to my brother. Cut his throat when he tried to leave. I took the stone and ran." Cole studied her, searching for lies. Her fear was real, at least. "Show me." Her hands shook as she opened the satchel. Inside was a fist-sized stone, black as coal, etched with jagged symbols that seemed to shift in the lantern light. Cole's skin prickled. He'd seen men die for less. Gold, land, pride. A rock like this? It'd bring hell. Outside, hooves thundered closer. A voice, cold and commanding, cut through the night. "Lila Kane, you can't hide. Give us the stone, and we spare the cowboy." Cole's grip tightened on his rifle. "Friends of yours?" "They'll kill you," she whispered. "Let me go. I'll draw 'em off." He shook his head. Too late for that. The torches stopped 100 yards out, forming a half circle. Cole counted 7 men, cloaked, faces hidden under wide-brimmed hats. One stepped forward, his voice carrying a preacher's cadence. "You're sheltering a thief, stranger. Hand her over, or we burn you both." Cole cracked the window, shouting back, "Ride on! I ain't in the mood for company." A chuckle, low and mean. You'll beg for mercy by dawn. The first shot splintered the doorframe. Cole shoved Lila to the floor, returning fire. One cloaked figure dropped, but the others scattered, circling like wolves. Lila's breath hitched. They won't stop. You don't know what they're capable of. Then tell me, Cole growled, reloading. All of it. Part 3. The Siege. The night erupted into chaos. Bullets tore through the cabin's walls, splintering wood and shattering the lantern. Cole dragged Lila behind the iron stove, its bulk their only shield. The Order's men were relentless, their shots precise, their voices chanting in some guttural tongue that made Lila flinch. "They're praying," she whispered, voice trembling. "To the stone. They think it's alive." Cole didn't answer, focused on the shadows moving outside. He'd fought raiders, rustlers, even Comanche once, but these men were different, organized, fanatical. He fired through a gap in the boards, dropping another. 6 left. "Tell me about the stone," he said, keeping his voice steady. "Why's it worth dying for?" Lila's eyes glistened in the dark. "My brother was one of 'em. Joined years ago, said it gave him purpose. Then he saw what they did. Sacrifices, blood rituals. The stone, it's old, older than this land. They think it talks to him, tells him to kill. I stole it to stop him." Cole's blood ran cold. He'd heard whispers of cults out here, men driven mad by the desert, but this was worse. "Where'd you find it?" "An old mission, buried under the altar. My brother showed me before he died." A Molotov crashed through the window, fire licking the floor. Cole stomped it out, cursing. "They're trying to smoke us out." Lila grabbed his arm. "Give me the stone. I'll run. You can still walk away." He shoved her hand off. "Ain't leaving you to die." The chanting grew louder, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Cole peeked through a crack. 2 men were dragging something heavy, a wooden crate. His gut sank. Dynamite. If they blew the cabin, Blackthorn Gulch's townfolk, 3 miles away, wouldn't stand a chance against these lunatics. "We gotta move," he said, hauling her up. "Back door." They slipped into the night, the satchel slung over Lila's shoulder. The air was thick with smoke and the stench of sulfur. Cole led her to a dry creek bed, crouching low. The Order hadn't spotted them yet, but their voices carried, promising blood. "They'll find us," Lila whispered. "The stone. It's like it calls to 'em." "Then we destroy it," Cole said, voice hard. Her eyes widened. "You can't. It's not just a rock. I've seen things, visions, voices. It's evil." He didn't want to believe her, but the weight of that stone in her satchel felt wrong, like it was watching. "Then we bury it where they'll never find it." A shout rang out. They'd been spotted. Cole fired, dropping 1 man, but the others closed in, their torches blazing. Lila clutched the satchel, her face pale. "If they get it back, they'll kill everyone. The town, the valley, everyone." Cole's mind raced. He'd sworn to leave his fighting days behind, but the stakes were clear. Stop the Order, or Blackthorn Gulch would burn. Part 4. The reckoning dawn was a faint promise on the horizon, but the night still held Blackthorn Gulch in its grip. Cole and Lila crouched in the creek bed, the Order's men closing in. 5 left, their leader's voice rising above the rest, chanting words that made Cole's skin crawl. The satchel hung heavy on Lila's shoulder, the stone inside seeming to pulse with a life of its own. "We can't outrun 'em," Cole said, checking his ammo. 3 bullets left. "We end this now." Lila's eyes were desperate. "The stone. I can't let them have it. But destroying it, I don't know what'll happen." "Then we use it," Cole said, a plan forming. Draw 'em out. He grabbed the satchel, ignoring her protest, and climbed the creek bank, holding the stone high. Its symbols glowed faintly, unnatural in the moonlight. "This what you want?" he shouted. "Come get it." The chanting stopped. The leader stepped forward, his face gaunt, eyes burning with zeal. "You don't know what you hold, cowboy. Give it to me, and you might live." Cole smirked. "Come closer and try." The order charged, but Cole was ready. He tossed the stone into the creek bed, where Lila waited with a rock hammer from his saddlebag. "Smash it!" he yelled, firing his last shots. 2 men fell, but the leader was fast, tackling Cole into the dirt. Lila hesitated, staring at the stone. Its symbols seemed to writhe, whispering her name. She raised the hammer, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered, to the stone, to her brother, to herself, and brought it down. The stone shattered, and a sound like a scream tore through the night. The ground shook, knocking Cole and the leader apart. The remaining cultists froze, their faces twisting in horror. "No!" the leader roared, lunging for the shards. Cole tackled him, pinning him down. "It's over!" But it wasn't. The air grew thick, heavy with something unnatural. Lila stumbled back, clutching her head. It's awake," she gasped. The ground cracked open, a faint red glow pulsing from below. Cole's heart pounded. He'd fought men, not monsters, but he'd be damned if he let this thing, whatever it was, take the valley. He grabbed Lila, dragging her away from the fissure. "Run! Get to town! Warn 'em!" She shook her head, tears falling. "I caused this. I have to stop it." The leader laughed, blood dripping from his mouth. "You can't stop it. The stone was just a key." Cole knocked him out cold, then turned to Lila. "We stop it together." They rode hard for Blackthorn Gulch, the glow spreading behind them. The town was asleep, unaware of the horror coming. Cole rallied the sheriff, a grizzled man named Holt, and the townsfolk armed themselves, rifles, pitchforks, anything they could grab. Lila told them everything, her voice breaking as she described the stone, the order, the thing it had unleashed. As dawn broke, the ground rumbled again. A shadow rose from the gulch, formless yet alive, its presence choking the air. Cole stood at the town's edge, Lila beside him, holding a shard of the stone. "It's still tied to this," she said. "If we destroy the last piece, maybe it stops." "Then do it," Cole said, his voice steady despite the fear clawing his chest. She nodded, raising the shard. The shadow surged, a wave of darkness that screamed with 1,000 voices. Lila smashed the shard against a rock, and the shadow wailed, collapsing into the earth. The ground stilled. Silence fell. The townsfolk stared, breathless. Lila sank to her knees, sobbing. Cole knelt beside her, his hand on her shoulder. "It's done." She looked up, eyes haunted. "Is it?" He didn't answer. The valley was safe, for now, but the weight of that night would linger. Cole helped her up, and they walked back to the town, the sun rising over a world that felt forever changed. The cabin was a prison of shadows, the single lantern casting jagged flickers across the walls. Lila Kane sat huddled in the corner, her knees drawn up, clutching the leather satchel like it held her last breath. Her dark eyes darted to the door every time the Wyoming wind rattled the boards. Cole Ramsey stood by the window, rifle in hand, his lean frame tense as he counted the torches moving through Blackthorn Gulch. 7, weaving like vultures circling a carcass. "Who are they?" Cole demanded, his voice low, sharp as a blade. Lila's lips trembled. "You wouldn't believe me. Try me." She hesitated, then let it spill, words tumbling fast like she was purging a poison. "They're the Order, a cult. They think I stole something sacred. A relic. They'll burn this place to get it back. Cole's eyes narrowed, his thumb brushing the revolver at his hip. What relic? She hugged the satchel tighter, her knuckles white. It's a stone, black, carved with symbols no one can read. They say it's got power, curses, maybe worse. They'll kill for it. He snorted, his war-hardened skepticism kicking in. Fairy tales. It's real, she snapped, her voice cutting through the quiet. I saw what they did to my brother, slit his throat when he tried to leave. I took the stone and ran. Cole studied her, searching for a lie in her haunted gaze. Her fear was real, at least, raw, bone-deep. Show me, he said. Her hands shook as she opened the satchel. Inside was a fist-sized stone, black as a starless night, etched with jagged symbols that seemed to twist in the lantern's glow. Cole's skin prickled, a chill running down his spine. He'd seen men die for less. Gold, whiskey, a patch of dirt. A rock like this? It could drag hell itself to his doorstep. Outside, hooves thundered closer, the ground trembling under their weight. A voice sliced through the night, cold and commanding, like a preacher damning a congregation. Lila Kane, you can't hide. Give us the stone, and we spare the cowboy. Cole's grip tightened on his rifle. Friends of yours? They'll kill you, Lila whispered, her voice barely audible. Let me go. I'll draw him off. He shook his head, jaw set. Too late for that. The torches stopped 100 yards out, forming a half-circle around the cabin. Cole counted 7 men, cloaked, their faces hidden under wide-brimmed hats. The leader stepped forward, his voice carrying that same preacher's cadence, laced with venom. You're shelterin' a thief, stranger. Hand her over, or we burn you both. Cole cracked the window, shouting back, Ride on! I ain't in the mood for company. A low, mean chuckle answered, You'll beg for mercy by dawn. The first shot splintered the doorframe, wood shards flying like shrapnel. Cole shoved Lila to the floor, his body shielding hers as he returned fire through the window. A cloaked figure dropped, clutching his chest, but the others scattered, quick and coordinated, circling the cabin like wolves. Lila's breath hitched, her nails digging into the floorboards. They won't stop. You don't know what they're capable of. Then tell me, Cole growled, reloading his rifle with steady hands. All of it. She swallowed hard, her voice barely above a whisper. The Order. They're not just men. They're fanatics. Been around for years, hiding in the desert. My brother joined them, thought it was salvation. Then he saw the truth. Blood rituals, sacrifices, all tied to that stone. He said it. Speaks to them. Tells them to kill. Cole's blood ran cold. He'd heard whispers of desert cults, men driven mad by heat and hunger. But this was different. The stone in her satchel felt heavier now, like it was listening. Why you? He asked. I was supposed to join too, she said, eyes distant. But I saw what they did to him. I stole the stone to stop him. Thought I could hide it, keep it safe. A bullet grazed the window, shattering glass. Cole ducked, cursing under his breath. They're closing in. Lila grabbed his arm, her voice urgent. Give me the stone. I'll run. You don't have to die for this. He shook her off, his eyes hard. Ain't letting you face 'em alone. The air grew thick with smoke as another shot rang out, followed by a guttural chant from the men outside. Lila flinched, her face pale. They're praying to it, she whispered. To the stone. They think it's alive. Cole didn't want to believe her, but the weight of that rock, the way its symbols seemed to shift, gnawed at him. He'd fought men, not myths, but something about this felt wrong. Unnatural. We hold 'em off till dawn, he said. Then we ride for town, get help. They'll burn Blackthorn Gulch to get it, Lila said, her voice breaking. They don't care who dies. Then we make sure they don't get it, Cole replied, his tone final. He checked his revolver. 5 rounds left. The chanting grew louder, rhythmic, like a pulse. Through the window, he saw the leader raise a hand, signaling. A new sound followed, the creak of a crate being pried open. Cole's gut sank. Dynamite. They're gonna blow us out, he said, grabbing Lila's shoulder. We move, now. She nodded, clutching the satchel as they crawled toward the back door. The night outside was alive with danger, the torches closing in. Cole's mind raced. This wasn't just about saving Lila. If the Order got that stone, the whole valley could burn. The Wyoming night was a furnace of chaos, the air thick with gunpowder and the crackle of splintering wood. Cole Ramsey's cabin, a lone outpost in Blackthorn Gulch, shuddered under a hail of bullets from the Order's men. The cultists' torches cast demonic shadows across the walls, their guttural chants rising like a fevered pulse. Lila Kane crouched behind the iron stove, her breath ragged, the leather satchel with its cursed stone clutched to her chest. Cole, rifle in hand, fired through a splintered gap in the boards, his face carved with grim resolve. "Stay down," he barked, his voice cutting through the din. A bullet grazed the stove, spitting sparks. He counted 5 men left outside, their cloaks blending with the dark, their movements too precise for common outlaws. Lila's eyes were wide, her voice trembling. They're praying to it. The stone. They think it's alive. Cole didn't answer, his focus on the silhouettes circling the cabin. He'd fought raiders, rustlers, even a band of deserters during the war. But these men were different, fanatical, driven by something beyond greed or vengeance. He fired again, the recoil jarring his shoulder. Another figure dropped, clutching his leg, but the chanting didn't falter. It grew louder, a rhythmic drone that clawed at his nerves. "Tell me more," he said, reloading with steady hands. "What's this stone to them?" Lila swallowed, her words spilling fast. "My brother, he said it's older than the desert, found in a cave, buried with bones and ash. The Order thinks it's a god or a devil, something that speaks to him, promises power. They kill to keep it, to use it." Cole's jaw tightened. He'd seen men lose themselves to whiskey or gold fever, but this was worse, a madness that felt alive, like the stone itself was watching. "What kind of power?" She shook her head, tears glinting in the lantern's dying light. "I don't know. My brother saw things, visions, blood, fire. He tried to leave, to take the stone. They cut him down in front of me. I grabbed it and ran." A Molotov crashed through the window, shattering on the floor in a burst of flame. Cole stomped it out, the heat searing his boots. "They're trying to smoke us out," he growled, coughing through the smoke. The air was thick, choking, the cabin turning into a death trap. Lila's voice was desperate. "Give me the stone. I'll run. You can still walk away." He shot her a hard look. "Ain't leaving you to die." The chanting outside swelled, a low hum that seemed to vibrate in the walls. Cole peeked through a crack in the boards. 2 cloaked figures were dragging a wooden crate, its weight sinking into the dirt. His gut twisted. Dynamite. If they blew the cabin, the blast could spark a fire that'd reach Blackthorn Gulch, 3 miles away. The town's folk, families, kids, wouldn't stand a chance against these lunatics. "We gotta move," he said, hauling Lila to her feet. "Back door, now." She stumbled, clutching the satchel. "They'll find us. The stone. It's like it calls to 'em." "Then we use it," Cole said, his mind racing. "Draw 'em away from the town." They slipped through the back door, the night swallowing them as they crouched low. The air was heavy with the stench of sulfur and burning pitch. Cole led her to a dry creek bed, its banks offering scant cover. The Order's torches flickered 100 yards off, their voices still chanting, relentless. Lila's breath hitched as she sank into the dirt beside him. "They're too close," she whispered, her hands trembling on the satchel. "If they get it back, they'll kill everyone. The town, the valley, everything." Cole's eyes scanned the darkness. He'd sworn off heroics after the war, content to herd cattle and dodge his past. But the stakes were clear. Stop the Order, or Blackthorn Gulch would burn. "We don't let 'em have it," he said, voice hard. "We bury it, destroy it, whatever it takes." Lila shook her head, her voice barely audible. "You can't destroy it. I tried. Fire, hammer, nothing works. It's wrong. Evil." He didn't want to believe her, but the weight of that stone in her satchel felt like a noose tightening around his neck. "Then we hide it where they'll never look." A shout rang out. The Order had spotted them. Cole fired, his last rifle round dropping a cloaked man, but the others were closing in, their torches blazing like eyes in the dark. Lila clutched his arm. "We can't outrun 'em. Not with this." "Then we fight," he said, drawing his revolver. 4 rounds left. He scanned the creek bed, spotting a narrow ravine branching off, barely wide enough for a horse. "There," he said, pointing. "We draw 'em in, bottleneck 'em." Lila nodded, her face pale but set. They scrambled into the ravine, the walls of dirt and rock closing around them. The Order's chants followed, closer now, their boots crunching the earth. Cole crouched behind a boulder, revolver ready, his heart pounding but his hands steady. He'd faced death before. This was just another kind. The leader's voice cut through the night, cold and commanding. "Lila Kane, you can't escape. The stone belongs to us. Give it up, and we'll spare the cowboy." Cole whispered, "Stay quiet. Let 'em come." Lila's eyes were wide, her breath shallow. "They'll kill you for helping me." "They'll try," he said, his voice a low growl. The first cloaked figure appeared. Tina appeared at the ravine's mouth, torchlight glinting off a curved dagger. Cole fired, the shot echoing off the rock walls. The man dropped, but the others kept coming, their chants growing frantic. Lila clutched the satchel, her knuckles white. "They're not stoppin'," she whispered. "Then we don't either," Cole said, checking his revolver. 3 rounds left. The ravine was tight, forcing the Order into a single-file approach. Cole waited, breath steady, until the next man was close. He fired, dropping him, but the others pressed forward, undeterred. The leader's voice rose, promising blood, his eyes burning with zeal as he stepped over his fallen men. "We end this," Cole muttered, his mind set. The stone, the Order, the town, it all came down to this moment, and he'd be damned if he let them win. Dawn was a faint smear on the horizon, but the Wyoming night still gripped Blackthorn Gulch like a vice. Cole Ramsey and Lila Kane crouched in the narrow ravine, its dirt walls closing in like a grave. The Order's torches cast jagged shadows, their chants a relentless drone that seemed to pulse from the black stone in Lila's satchel. 4 cultists remained, their leader's voice rising above the rest, promising death in a tone that chilled Cole's blood. Lila's hands trembled, clutching the satchel, her eyes haunted by what she'd unleashed. "We can't outrun 'em," Cole said, his voice low, checking his revolver. 3 rounds left. "We end this now." Lila's gaze darted to the stone, its carved symbols catching the torchlight, twisting like snakes. "The stone! It's tied to them. If they get it, they'll bring hell to the valley." Then we use it, Cole said, his mind racing. He grabbed the satchel, ignoring her gasp, and climbed the ravine's edge, holding the stone high. Its weight felt wrong, alive, the cymbals pulsing faintly. "This what you want," he shouted into the dark. "Come take it." The chanting stopped. The leader stepped forward, his gaunt face lit by torchlight, eyes burning with fanatic zeal. "You hold power you can't comprehend, cowboy. Give it to me, and you might live." Cole smirked, his grip steady. "Step closer and find out." The order charged, boots pounding the earth. Cole fired, dropping one man, the shot echoing off the ravine walls. Lila scrambled up beside him, clutching a rock hammer from his saddlebag. "Smash it!" Cole ordered, firing again. Another cultist fell, but the leader was fast, dodging, his dagger glinting as he closed in. Lila hesitated, staring at the stone. Its symbols seemed to whisper, her name woven into their hum. "I can't," she whispered, tears streaking her face. It's alive." "Do it!" Cole yelled, tackling the leader as he lunged. They hit the ground hard, fists flying, the dagger slicing Cole's arm. Blood soaked his sleeve, but he pinned the man, slamming his wrist until the blade fell. Lila raised the hammer, her hands shaking. "I'm sorry," she whispered, to the stone, to her brother, to the world, and brought it down. The stone shattered, fragments scattering like ash. A scream tore through the night, not human, not animal, a sound that clawed at the soul. The ground quaked, throwing Cole and the leader apart. The remaining cultists froze, their faces twisting in horror. "No!" the leader roared, scrambling for the shards. "You've doomed us all!" Cole kicked him back, his revolver trained on the man's chest. "It's over." But it wasn't. The air grew heavy, thick with an unnatural heat. A faint red glow pulsed from the ravine's floor, cracks spider-webbing the earth. Lila stumbled back, clutching her head. "It's awake," she gasped. "The stone. It was holding it back." Cole's heart pounded. He'd fought men, not monsters, but the glow spreading below was no trick of the light. It moved, alive, a shadow forming in the cracks, formless yet hungry. "Run," he said, grabbing Lila's arm. "Get to town. Warn 'em." She shook her head, tears falling. "I caused this. I have to stop it." The leader laughed, blood dripping from his split lip. "You can't stop it. The stone was a key. You've opened the door." Cole knocked him out cold with the butt of his revolver, then turned to Lila. "We stop it together." They rode hard for Blackthorn Gulch, the glow spreading behind them like a wildfire. The town was asleep, its wooden buildings huddled under the fading stars. Cole pounded on the sheriff's door, rousing Holt, a grizzled man with a limp from an old bullet wound. "Trouble's comin'," Cole said, voice urgent. "Get every man with a gun." Lila spilled the truth, the stone, the order, the thing it had unleashed. Her voice broke as she described the shadow, the screams, the quaking earth. Holt's eyes narrowed, but he didn't question her. "Round 'em up," he barked to his deputy, already loading his shotgun. The townsfolk gathered, bleary-eyed but armed, rifles, pitchforks, even a blacksmith's hammer. Women ushered children into the church, barricading the doors. Cole and Lila stood at the town's edge, the satchel empty now except for a single shard Lila had kept. "It's still tied to this," she said, holding it up. "If we destroy it, maybe it stops." "Then do it," Cole said, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing his chest. The ground rumbled, a low growl that shook the dirt. The shadow rose from the gulch, a mass of darkness that pulsed with red light, its form shifting, human one moment, beast the next. Screams echoed from the townsfolk as it moved closer, its presence choking the air. Cole fired his last round, but the bullet passed through, useless. Lila stepped forward, the shard in her hand. "It's me you want," she shouted, her voice trembling but defiant. The shadow paused, its glow flaring. She raised the shard, then smashed it against a rock. The shadow wailed, a sound that tore at the ears, and the ground cracked wider, swallowing the glow. Dust billowed, and silence fell, heavy and absolute. The townsfolk stared, breathless. Lila sank to her knees, sobbing, the weight of her brother's death, the stone, the night crashing down. Cole knelt beside her, his hand on her shoulder, his own arm still bleeding. "It's done," he said, his voice soft but firm. She looked up, eyes raw. "Is it?" He didn't answer. The valley was quiet, the shadow gone, but the air felt changed, like the world had shifted. Holt approached, shotgun still in hand. "You two saved this town," he said gruffly, "but I reckon you're leaving." Cole nodded. He'd never been one to stay. "You'll keep an eye on things?" Holt grunted. "Long as I'm breathing." Lila stood, wiping her face. "I'm coming with you," she said to Cole, her voice steady now. "I can't stay here, not after this." He looked at her, seeing the same resolve he'd carried since the war. "Then we ride." They mounted Rusty, the town fading behind them as the sun broke over the horizon. The valley was safe, for now, but Cole knew some shadows lingered longer than others. He glanced at Lila, her face set, and wondered what else the desert might hide.